Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a fantastic interview for the Art of Sherlock Holmes USA edition. Today we have Christina Major and Richard Paolinelli with us. Hi, guys. Where are you dialing in from, Christina?
Charlotte, North Carolina.
Fantastic. And Richard?
I am in Omaha, Nebraska.
Fantastic. Well, I'm here in rainy and cold London, so I'm sure it's the weather's better where you guys are. Just a quick introduction for the fans that are watching to the USA edition. This is the second book in the series. The first book was the West Palm edition, which had 15 pieces, and this is spread to the whole of the USA. And here's a sample of some of the work. It was created and is being curated by Phil Growick, who's a Sherlock Holmes novelist and an art fan who decided to bring his two passions in life, art and Sherlock Holmes, together. And we now have the first 28 pieces in the series. We're going to be focusing tonight on the artist Christina Major and the author Richard Paolinelli, but we're going to start with Christina. So Christina, on the left-hand side here, we've got three of your pieces. Give us a quick introduction to your style and who these pieces are.
My work is about merging both the person depicted and a story about them within the painting, and finding ways to overlay that information together, both in scale and brushstroke and color. And so what you'll find on the first piece on the left, that is a piece recently completed of Audrey Hepburn. I think this is the third one that I've done of her, but a different image, and it uses personal quotes that I've researched about her that connected with me, that I incorporated into that painting, and it's about 7 feet in scale. The next one over is George Michael. This particular piece was a still from one of his music videos for this song called One More Try, and all of those lyrics, most of all of the lyrics, are within this painting as well. And some of it's decipherable. When you approach the painting and you're up close to it, you can start to read some of the writing in the painting, and some of it becomes lost within the image itself, emerging from all those colors coming together. And then the one below is of Marilyn Monroe. And I've done quite a few of her. She has very intriguing story, and she has a lot of personal writings that are available to really relate to and communicate through different images that I've found.
Fantastic.
And that was a little bit smaller. The Marilyn Monroe one is about 30 by 30, but the George Michael is about 6 feet in size.
And do you find that people who are big fans of the actress or the music artist that are the ones that buy the paintings, or?
No, I have probably about half of my work that I've completed and sold have been people who are non-known, people who are within my life and my circle, you know, my family and friends, people who I've shared a lot of experiences through my life, good and bad. And then I have the other side. I experiment with people that I connect to, whether it be a song that I love, or right now I have a daughter who's 2, and so I find myself really into classic women, classic beauties, and telling their stories and relating to that. But the buyers, I don't want to say that they're avid fans. They tend to be collectors of enjoying portrait art and figurative art more than anything.
Fantastic. And Richard, I've picked 3 of your books, but I could have picked one from many. Behind you, I can see some of your book covers on the wall there. Tell us about these 3.
Well, Reservations was actually the first novel that I published traditionally. I had signed up with an agent, went that route, and found a publisher. And fortunately, they let me design the cover for the book, so it was kind of fun to do that. Because I had this set up in mind from the beginning, and I was telling them, you know, what I'd like to see, and they're like, well, why don't you do a mock-up and send it in? And I did, and they went, okay, that's the cover. And I'm like, okay, I never knew I'd be a book cover artist, but this one is more the mystery thriller genre that you're going to get into, and closest to Sherlock Holmes of anything I've written outside of the Sherlock Holmes pastiches that I have done. The next two are science fiction fantasy, and I've done both those covers because by the time these came out, I had just gotten hooked into doing them. You know, I wanted to do the covers now. But I did get some help on Escaping Infinity. I should say there's an artist in Germany who gave me permission to use a big portion of that background element. So it's been fun. These are more independently published, and I wound up starting my own publishing house based on my experiences with the traditional publishing route. So they kind of represent a different avenue of my writing career that I never thought I'd get onto, but I've really enjoyed the whole process of not only writing them, but getting them out there and getting them released and doing the whole book covers and marketing and everything about it. So it's kind of, you pick three that represented pretty well my writing career the last 3 or 4 years.
Fantastic. And we talked briefly before the interview about you participated in lots and lots of anthologies. We wouldn't have space on the page here to put all the
no.
And a number of those have been Sherlock Holmes ones. And if we jump onto the piece itself from the Art of Sherlock Holmes USA edition, Christina, I have to say it's a really stunning piece, and it's a very compelling face. How did you go about doing this painting?
Well, when I read the story from Richard, right away I found a way that we could find a way to work together and use the writing and the story about her that I've known previous to Richard's story, and find a way to bring it all together and bring it to life. So part of my research was finding out, being Irene Adler, the woman, as the primary person of interest in this story, I felt like she was the one I needed to really depict in this piece. And I researched different actresses, main actresses, that have played her within some television series and in some movies. And the three that I selected to do a composite image of were of Laura Pulver, who did the Sherlock BBC television series. And in the painting, it has her nose and her chin. And Natalie Dormer, I selected her eyes. She's from Elementary, from the US series of Sherlock Holmes. That's a television series. And Rachel McAdams is the mouth of her from the Sherlock movies that you found that were released in the United States. And then the writing was pretty easy, pulled a lot of it from the story from Richard, and some of it was just a background of who Irene Adler was prior to the story, to Sherlock's. So there's a little bit that talks about their beginnings and how he's spoken of her in past Sherlock stories.
Fantastic. And you picked three of the biggest adaptations: BBC, CBS, and of course the Warner Brothers movies there. So coming back to Richard, what was it like to when you first saw the piece in its full size in the book, and what was it like to have your story turned into a piece of art?
Well, when you guys decided you wanted to use my story for this, I was really curious to see what somebody would do with it, because the original story was originally published in an anthology called Holmes Away from Home, and covered the 3 years that Holmes was away between his alleged death at Reichenbach Falls and his return in the empty rooms. And so I decided what better time to try to get Holmes and Adler back together than during that little 3-year hiatus. So I was wondering how a artist would take that story and what would be the end result. And I think we've seen with some of the other pieces in earlier collections and in this one, they encompass a lot of different elements of the story. They'll bring in the one I'm thinking of, there's a magician, and then they've got a house, and there's a whole bunch of different things in there trying to get all of the story onto one frame. And then I saw Christina's piece, and I realized she really nailed it, because the whole story is Irene Adler. There wouldn't be a story if there wasn't an Irene Adler that had caught Holmes's definitely mind and heart. I think we could safely say that.
Mm-hmm.
So this, when I saw it in the book for the first time, was like, yeah, that's the story right there, and you don't need anything else added to it. So Christina did a great job with it, and I was, the more I looked at it, the more impressed I have been with it. That it's just the perfect piece to go with it. And then you start thinking, well, I've written something now that has inspired somebody to create another piece of art, and that's it's hard to put into words. You feel kind of honored that somebody could be inspired by something you've done, and it's it's really special to look at this and know it was based on something that I originally created, and it's just it's amazing. We'll just leave it at that. It's amazing.
Fantastic. And we've put the link on the screen here to the prints that the Sir Arthur Conan Doyle estate. So Sir Arthur Conan Doyle wrote the Sherlock Holmes stories, and the family estate, we have a licensing agreement with them, and they've produced these beautiful prints from all of the art that's in the art of Sherlock Holmes. And Christina's is number 25, and it's a bit special because it's the first time anybody's been allowed to make prints of your work.
That's true.
So we're honoured that you've allowed us to do that, and a share of all of the merchandising of all of the art in all its forms will be going to a number of wonderful causes, including in the US. Phil's main cause, which is the American Cancer Society. So we really hope that fans that love the piece will go and get it and put it on their wall from the Conan Doyle estate. I'm going to finish up quickly by saying that the book is available worldwide. It was released on 24th of October. For the holiday period, we're offering free personalization of the book, so people can order it from Amazon and other places as well, of course. But if they order it directly from us, they can have their own personal message put into the front of the book. The art is going to be exhibited at the Paul Fisher Gallery in West Palm Beach in December through January. So any of the remaining pieces of art from the original first book, West Palm book, there are a few pieces left. Most of them are sold. But then all of the pieces from the USA edition. Christina's piece is going to then be exhibited slightly later than that at another gallery in Florida, in West Palm. And as I mentioned, the authenticated art prints and merchandise are available from the Conan Doyle estate. It's been a delight talking to both of you. Thank you so much. It is one of my favorite pieces in the whole thing. So I definitely will be getting a print and putting it up on my wall at home.
Well, so, Richard and Steve, thank you for all your compliments. I'm humbled to hear all of that. And I really enjoyed the project. And Richard, I couldn't have done it without you.
Well, I appreciate that. And I thank you for doing such a great job with it. And like I said, you told the whole story perfectly. So you did a fantastic job. And Steve, I want to thank you and everybody, Phil, for letting me be a part of this, because it's been amazing to be a part of.
Well, I'm definitely going to take your quote from you, Richard, to say that Christina absolutely nailed it.
Oh, she did. She did.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you all for the opportunity. It was quite fun.